Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The air was still, too still for a warm afternoon. Only the slow hum of the ceiling fan filled the silence, casting lazy shadows across the cream-colored sheets that clung to my skin. I thought I was alone, completely, blissfully alone, in the privacy of my room, curled on my side beneath the thin fabric, eyes half-lidded, lips parted in a sigh that carried more heat than relief. My fingertips trailed down the curve of my hip, just under the sheet, the faintest touch, not even bold, just exploring. The tension was mine alone, or so I thought. The door creaked. I froze. Not fully, just enough to make my breath catch, to sense something had shifted. And then his voice. Low, casual, unaware, or pretending to be. "Oh, sorry, I didn't think you were napping." My heart skipped. My stepson stood there. Not a boy. Not anymore. Taller now, broader shoulders, jaw tighter than I remembered. His eyes, dark, sharp, lingered too long, caught on the rise of the blanket, the way it dipped along my waist. I clutched the sheet closer, but not fast enough. "Didn't mean to interrupt," he said again, though his smirk didn't match the apology. He didn't leave. Instead, he leaned one arm against the doorframe, casually, like we were old friends and not, whatever this dangerous little moment was becoming. The tension in the room thickened, the kind that made you second-guess what was really happening. Was it just awkward? Or something electric? "Nice perfume," he added, his voice softer now, more deliberate. "Smells like trouble." I wanted to answer, I swear I did. But the words tangled behind a dry throat and a pulse that beat far too fast for comfort. My eyes met his locked, charged, unreadable. Then his hand reached for the light switch, not to leave, but to dim it. Just slightly. And that's when I knew he wasn't in a rush. Neither was I. Before I could ask what he wanted, or why he hadn't left already, he took a step closer. And the sheet? It slipped just a little lower. Sometimes the tension doesn't begin with a touch, it begins in the silence between two people who never planned to feel anything at all. He moved in 3 years ago. I still remember that first week, his awkward glances, the cold walls between us, the quiet dinners where he barely spoke. He was grieving his mother. I was newly married to his father, a man too busy sealing business deals to notice the loneliness seeping into his new wife's bones. We were strangers under one roof, until we weren't. It started subtly. The way he offered to help me bring in groceries, how his hand would brush mine just a moment too long. How his eyes lingered when I laughed at something stupid on TV. There was nothing to point at, nothing I could confess. But I felt it. And I was ashamed for noticing. Then the fight started. His father and I see words behind closed doors. Nights he wouldn't come home. Mornings he left early without a goodbye. I stopped pretending I was happy. I stopped dressing up for him. But I noticed myself doing it on the days his son was home. It scared me, this slow unraveling. How I found myself baking his favorite cookies after a bad exam. How he started sitting closer on the couch. How his shoulder brushed mine and I didn't move. We never crossed a line. But we both danced near it. Smiling too long. Pausing in doorways. One time, I caught him watching me as I reached for a glass on the top shelf. My shirt had lifted, just slightly. His jaw tensed. He left the room. Nothing was said. But everything was felt. There was a night I couldn't sleep. Thunder growled low outside. I found him in the kitchen in a plain white t-shirt, drinking water in the dark. He turned, startled. We stood there for a beat too long. "Can't sleep?" he asked, voice husky. "Not really," I whispered back. My hand brushed his as I reached for a cup. Neither of us pulled away. I don't know what this is. I don't know what it means. But it's there, between us. A current. A quiet fire no one dares name. Maybe it's just loneliness, misplaced comfort. Or maybe it's something far more dangerous. Two people aching to be seen. And now? After what just happened in my room, I know I'm not the only one who feels it anymore. The house was too quiet again. His father had left on another sudden business trip, some urgent deal in Dubai. No goodbye kiss, no check-in call. Just a scribbled note on the counter and the usual emptiness he left behind. I stared at it for a second longer than I should have, until I heard footsteps behind me. He was home early. He walked in, damp from the rain, hair tousled, a fresh gym shirt clinging to his chest. "You okay?" he asked, his voice unusually soft. I nodded, too quickly. "Yeah, just tired." He glanced at the note on the counter. His jaw tightened barely. But I saw it. "You deserve better than that," he muttered. That silence again. That loaded, breathless kind of silence. Later that evening, I stepped out onto the balcony in my silk-wrapped dress, the one I used to wear for his father. Now, I wasn't sure who it was really for. The wind played with the hem as I leaned against the railing. I heard the door slide open behind me. He stood there, arms crossed, gaze sharp. "You wore that dress again." "You noticed," I teased, light on the lips, heavy in the eyes. "I always notice," he said, stepping closer. "Especially when someone else might." "Someone else?" I echoed, heartbeat kicking up. He shrugged. "Like that guy from the grocery store, the one who kept checking you out yesterday." I turned to him slowly, a knowing smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. "Were you jealous?" He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped in, too close, his chest almost brushing mine. His eyes locked onto mine with a heat I'd never seen before. His hand lifted, hesitated, then landed just behind me on the railing. "You didn't answer," I whispered, feeling my breath catch. Neither did he. But I didn't need the words. The way his gaze dropped to my lips, the tension in his shoulders, the way he fought the urge to lean in, it said enough. Something had shifted. Something we couldn't take back. The storm hit harder than expected. Power flickered, then vanished completely, plunging the house into a hush that made every sound echo. I lit a few candles, their soft glow throwing dancing shadows across the walls. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and rain pelted against the windows like a warning. Or a promise. He was still upstairs. Or so I thought. Until I turned around and found him standing behind me in the hallway, holding a blanket. "Figured you'd be cold," he said. He handed it to me, our fingers brushed. I should have thanked him and walked away. I didn't. We stood there in the faint candlelight, a little too close, the silence louder than the storm. His eyes scanned my face, then dropped to my lips. My heart thudded so loudly I was sure he could hear it. "Scared of storms?" he asked, voice low. "No," I whispered. "Just what they bring." A flash of lightning lit up the room, and for a split second, everything was visible, the curve of his jaw, the hunger in his eyes, the way he swallowed like he was holding something back. He didn't move. Neither did I. But something shifted. Again. "Why do you look at me like that?" I finally asked, barely breathing. He stepped forward, slow, deliberate. "Because you let me." I didn't stop him. Couldn't. The blanket slipped from my hands, forgotten. We stood chest to chest, the heat between us undeniable. His hand hovered near my waist, not touching, just there, like he was begging for permission without asking. I tilted my chin up, lips parted, waiting for what, I wasn't sure. A word. A kiss. A breaking point. But the sound that came next wasn't thunder. It was the front door unlocking. His father was home. We froze. His hand fell away. I stepped back. Our moment stolen, suspended, vanished like smoke in the rain. The moment the front door clicked open, everything inside me shattered into chaos. He took a sharp step back, face hardening, jaw clenched like he'd swallowed a scream. I scrambled to pick up the blanket, acting like I'd just come down for tea, not like I was about to cross every line I'd sworn I never would. "Babe?" His father's voice echoed through the hallway, casual, distracted. "Lights out." I forced a smile he couldn't see. "Power's gone." Storm knocked it out. He came into view, suit soaked, briefcase dripping. "Figures. The one night I come home early." He leaned in, kissed my cheek absently. Smells like you lit my good candles. I laughed too high too fast. Thought you wouldn't mind. He didn't notice the tension in the air. Didn't notice the blanket still half folded in my hands. But he did. My stepson stood frozen behind me, trying too hard to look unaffected. His eyes never left mine. Dinner was a mess of nerves and glances. He sat across from me, his father beside me. Every fork clink felt like thunder. Every glance he stole made it harder to breathe. And when our knees brushed under the table, not accidental this time, I almost dropped my glass. The final blow came after. His father went to take a shower. I walked into the kitchen, heart racing, chest tight. He followed, closed the door behind him. Just us again. He didn't speak. He just walked toward me slowly, like he was done pretending. I backed up until I hit the counter, breathing fast, blood pounding in my ears. You were going to let it happen, he said, voice low, rough. If he hadn't walked in, you would have let me. I couldn't lie. I didn't. And now? I whispered, trembling. He leaned in, forehead almost touching mine. Now I can't pretend anymore. That's when I heard it. From behind us. I knew it. His father. At the doorway. Soaked towel in hand. Eyes wide. Face blank. But in his silence, everything screamed. I turned, heart crashing against my ribs. You think I don't notice how you look at each other? He asked coldly. You think I've been blind? My mouth opened, but no sound came. The man I married took a slow breath, then smirked. A bitter, cruel thing. I was testing you, he said. Both of you. What? I breathed. I had a feeling. So I came back early, to confirm it. My stepson stepped forward. So what now? The man's eyes gleamed. Now? Now we find out how far you're really willing to go. Silence crushed the room like a wave. The kitchen, once warm with candlelight and quiet tension, now burned with confrontation. 3 hearts pounding. 3 truths exposed. His father dropped the towel to the floor, eyes narrowed. I gave you both a home, he said, voice low but lethal. And this is what you do behind my back? I stepped forward, hands trembling. It wasn't planned. I didn't mean to fall into his arms, he snapped. Didn't mean to invite his eyes when you walked past in that damn silk robe. My stepson flinched but didn't back down. Don't talk to her like that. Don't talk to her like that? His father laughed bitterly. You've been circling her since day one. Acting like I don't see it. Like I'm some fool. I try to speak, anything to defuse it, but emotions swelled too fast. You left me alone in this house, night after night. I was invisible to you. And that's your excuse? His voice cracked. You sleep with my son because I wasn't home in time for dinner? We haven't, I stopped, breath catching. It didn't go that far. But it would've, he whispered, eyes locked on mine. If I'd walked in 5 minutes later, no one moved. The weight of almost was unbearable. Finally, my stepson spoke, calm but firm. I love her. His father turned slowly. You what? I said I love her. And I'm not sorry. A plate shattered. I didn't even know I'd dropped it. The words. I wasn't ready to hear them. Not from him. Not out loud. And yet, my chest burned with something dangerously close to relief. He'd said what I couldn't admit. You're my son, his father said, eyes glassy. She was your stepmother. I never asked for any of this, he shouted back. You married her and disappeared. You left her to me. The air buzzed, electric and raw. I finally stepped between them. Enough. What's done is done. But I won't keep pretending I'm happy in a marriage that's been hollow for years. His father stared, pain breaking through his pride. So what now? You both walk away? Just like that. I looked at the man who married me, then at the one who made me feel again. I don't know, I said, voice steady. But I know I can't stay here. Not like this. My stepson reached for my hand, gentle, certain. And I didn't pull away. Rain still drummed softly on the windows, but inside the house, the storm had finally passed. It had been a week. A long, quiet, aching week since everything fell apart and began to fall into place. His father moved out to a corporate apartment across town. No angry scenes, no messy divorce, just a silent agreement that some things, once broken, couldn't be pieced back together. But something else had begun. Something new. Fragile. Forbidden. Real. We sat on the back patio wrapped in a thick blanket, the garden still damp from rain, the world hushed around us. He poured tea into 2 mismatched mugs, the same way he used to during those late-night study sessions. Only now, there was nothing we needed to hide. "I keep waiting for this to feel wrong," I whispered, eyes on the steam rising between us. He looked at me, his voice calm. "And does it?" I met his gaze, steady, warm, impossibly grown up. "No, not anymore." There was a tenderness to him now, in how he held my hand, in how he didn't rush to fill the silence. No more teasing glances or hidden smiles. Just honesty, finally let out into the open. He leaned closer, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear. "I knew you were the one thing I could never have. And maybe that's why I fell for you. But you have me now," I said softly. "I won't waste it." The kiss was slow, gentle, the kind that says I've been waiting for this. No guilt. No pretending. Just 2 people who found something rare against every rule, every odd. Later, as we curled into each other under the stars, his hand around mine, I knew something had changed forever. Not in scandal or chaos, but in love. Unconventional, yes, but real. Honest. Earned. This wasn't just a fling born of loneliness. It was something deeper. Something worth every risk we'd taken. And in that moment, with his heart beating steady against mine, I didn't care what anyone else thought. We were finally free.